There was Amy and me talking away for nearly 40 minutes when I realised that I didn't have the voice thing on and we had to start again.
Oh,
I'd like to talk about narcissism and gambling and...
Why is it that some people seem to stay in toxic relationships even though it's absolutely destroying their life? In this video, I'm going to show you one of the most powerful reasons why people stay with people who are abusing them, even though they know they should escape the situation. And in this video, I'm going to show you a very powerful reason of why people will stay in a toxic, narcissistic relationship, even though it may be causing immense emotional trauma or even ruining their life, but they keep going back. So I'm going to break this video down into 3 parts. Part number 1 is why this is like gambling. Part number 2 is what is the game that they may be knowingly or unknowingly playing without realizing it. And part number 3 is what you can do about it if it's you, or what you can advise somebody to do if it's somebody you know. Okay, so part number 1, why this is like gambling. Now, when I very first started studying about addictions, I looked at gambling addictions, and there's something I heard called chasing your losses. Now, the chasing your losses is as follows. A person walks into a bookies and puts, say, £50 on a horse. And then they put that £50 on the horse and hope that it will win and they get more money back than they invested. Okay, but invariably the horse loses. So they're now £50 down. So they think, I want to get my £50 back. I don't want to leave with losing my money. So what they do is they put another £50 on the next horse in the hope that that will win more, and they get their first £50 back, their second £50 back, and more. But invariably, obviously, the second horse loses and they're now down £100. And then what they do, they have a great idea. Rather than walking out and saying, like, I cut my losses, they put another £50 on a third horse, or even £100 on the third horse, in the hope that that horse will win and they win all their money back. That's why people can get addicted to gambling, because they chase their losses. Now, if a person kept on losing, eventually they get bored and stop. But what happens is, eventually they put money on a horse and it wins and they get all their money back, and they think, if I just keep doing this enough times, I'm going to make all my money back, I'm going to be rich beyond my wildest dreams, blah blah blah. But what eventually happens is they get more losses than wins, and they can end up massively in debt. So
that's what we're going to talk about at this bit here, aren't we, Amy?
yes, Karen.
It seems to me, whenever I don't know, we've been on like courses, haven't we? When you go to these channels, they're quite deep and there's loads of videos, but they all say that gambling and narcissism are the same thing, really. They're basically it's to do with the mind, having like a split personality. You've got mental problems, basically.
The fact of the matter is that one of the most difficult people to deal with in the world is an addicted narcissist. An addicted narcissist is worse than a standard narcissist, because not only are you working against an apparent personality disorder, but you're also working against actual addiction. And as we discussed, addiction mimics narcissistic behavior. So it's like a double whammy. If you're dealing with an addictive narcissist, you are dealing with someone who is incredibly hard to deal with. They are exhausting. Their selfishness, the narcissism, the outright disrespectful behavior, lack of concern for you and your well-being, lack of concern for your need to pay the bills, lack of concern for your need to eat. They'll take everything you have and they'll like it. They are relentless. They are overpowering with their need and their rage if you don't meet those needs. Not only that, they're callous. They're frequently abusive. They have this sort of cocktail of negative behaviors that all lend to one end, and that is they think they're always right, and they don't mind devastating consequences, especially when the consequences are related to you and not them.
And because you can't decipher all those, you end up being a gambler and a narcissism. They go together, which I've been struggling myself with in my own life, which I'm not anymore, but I was with someone who is a narcissist and gambling.
Yes.
And then a narcissist lies. They don't ever really want you anyway. So I suppose if they're gambling, it's even worse than just having a narcissist, because a narcissist is bad enough and they've got a big addiction.
Substance abuse. This is a subject I think is often overlooked when we're trying to understand the nature of narcissistic personality disorder. Because narcissists are often so obsessive about their appearance, I would even say meticulous about their appearance, it's easy to miss when their various addiction issues manifest. Oftentimes, they are functional alcoholics or drug abusers. They go to great efforts to hide the fact that many of them are battling a dual diagnosis of narcissistic personality disorder and addiction.
That's right.
You know, when someone gambles, I would like, maybe people will put some answers in the chat room. You know, we can put like answers and questions out. How many people think that if you're gambling 7 days a week, between 100 and 150 bets a night, that's a normal man? What do you reckon, Amy?
Right. I don't think it is. I think it's a gambling addiction. And I have researched gambling addiction, and when they have to do it 24/7 or 7 days a week or whatever, that's an addiction. And it's very difficult addiction to give up, and they often really do need professional help to get off of it. And
something else they can do, Amy? You said to me you read it, that they can even go away for a few days and then you carry on.
Yeah, I mean, when a person is a gambling addict, they'll usually deny it. Even if you show them evidence that, you know, this gambling is wrecking things in their life. And the other thing they'll do is they'll try to prove a point. So they'll kind of like go off of gambling altogether for maybe 3-4 days or so. They'll get themselves out of an environment where it's easy to gamble, because what they're trying to do is prove, like, I don't have a problem, but really they do, but they're trying to prove that they don't.
And what was the end result of when you read that? What did they say?
Number one red flag, which is that you are taking valuable time away from your job and your family to get.
Is there some connection between narcissism and addiction? And if so, what is the connection exactly? That's what we're talking about today at QueenBee.com. Let's get started. Overcome narcissistic abuse in toxic relationships. I like to call it toxic relationship rehab. Sound good? If so, hit that subscribe button and let's get going. This morning in my live chat, several of the group members were talking about alcoholism, drug addiction, and how those are combined with narcissists. The question then became, well, is there a connection? Because sometimes you will have addicts and alcoholics who stop being addicts and alcoholics and begin to not act like narcissists. But almost always, addicts and alcoholics will act like narcissists during active addiction. So is there a connection between the two things? What happens when they get clean and then they become or they remain a narcissist? The first thing you should know is that there are plenty of narcissists who are also addicts, and there are plenty of addicts who behave like narcissists who are not narcissists. There has been tons of research that has shown that there is a certain amount of connection between the narcissistic personality disorder and addiction. But that's not what we're here to talk about right now. We're here to they need people to give them approval, to give them love, to take care of them, to do all this stuff. They need that in order to exist in the world comfortably. It soothes them somehow, right? Well, it would make sense that those same people are going to be soothed by gambling, or soothed by sex addiction, or soothed by alcohol addiction or drug addiction, because you can soothe yourself with those things in different ways. So what it comes down to is that because the narcissist doesn't trust him or herself, the narcissist also does not trust other people very well. And so when you try to turn to people that you don't trust, that doesn't work very well. So the narcissist often will turn to a drug or an alcohol situation.
Most likely after a discard, you're going to be used as leverage, and I'll get to that really soon. But first, let me say that what you went through, the pain that you feel, is just a byproduct of a machine that is geared to get as much fuel out of you as they can. So you are witness to a false movie from day one, and that is, again, to get fuel out of you, supply. And so it provides a lot of pain. It provides a lot of confusion, because they left you like you don't exist. And if you guys can think about a watermelon, you are the watermelon. You are the big juicy watermelon. They are the electric juicer, if you will. During the love bomb, it is flowing. That juice is flowing. They're happy. They're mirroring back to you content and happiness. And you think you've hit the jackpot. They're dropping lines like, "You are my person forever. You are the mate that is going to be by my side to the end of time, my soulmate." This is what you're hearing. You're hearing all this because the juice that is flowing, that they're drinking, is making them really happy. It's the type of fuel that they want, this big juicy watermelon. And so you noticed you're happy, and you're like, wow, yeah, okay, yeah, this person makes me happy. There's nothing really wrong with this person. So yeah, I'll take the leap of faith, and this person seems to be really convinced about me. I'll take the leap of faith and just go feet first. And that watermelon juice keeps flowing, and everyone's happy. You're picking out rings together. You're planning weddings together. The narcissist has all this sugary, sweet, red juice on their face, and they're just mirroring back complete joy. And everything is fine. Everything is great. But you notice you start getting a little tired. You start getting a little depleted, because you notice that you have to jump into this juicer, and the narcissist is always drinking from this well. And even though that they deemed you, this well will never go dry, let's do this, let me lock you down, you're wanting a sip. And you're noticing that you have to jump in the juicer, that the narcissist is just kind of like, no, go ahead. And every time they come home from work, bam, here they turn on this obnoxious machine, really loud.
They said they need professional help. It's a very sinister addiction. It's just so draws them in so much that they really can't be in any environment where there's a possibility to gamble, and they have to make that choice first, admit they have a problem and that they really want to change. That's the most important step. And even when they do that,
and if they don't accept it, what are they in then? They're in denial.
What's that? They're in denial,
yeah.
Yes. And it's very difficult when families,
relationships,
all of that. And I've read personal accounts of people who have been, in romances with gamblers, and it ruins it because the person just can't give up the gambling. And
Amy, do you want to read one of the stories from one of the women?
Oh, yeah, if I could find it, yeah.
Because I found myself in the same situation, and the person lies all the time, so they never remember history as it was. So
Right.
I got really upset about them gambling, but they only remember things afterwards, or they change it, or they only want to remember it in a certain way. And they were actually going to do it, and then they blamed me for it, and I videoed it, and Amy heard it, and they lied because they said they were gambling, and it's your fault that I gambled. I'd like to ask again in the audience of anybody who thinks that it's my fault they were gambling. I'd like to know anybody that thinks it's my fault he was gambling, because it wasn't.
Right. No, it's not. It's never.
Because if you're not responsible for yourself.
Also deal with is shame. If you're looking to figure out a narcissistic addict, look for events that happened between, say, 18 months and 3 years old. because a lot of times that's where they begin to develop shame, both addicts and narcissists. Interestingly enough, about 50% of addicts are, according to studies, also narcissists.
Oh, right. You have
Who is? Who's responsible for you if you're not?
That's right. You have to be
But doing that
responsible.
to me, you know, they're in their 40s. They're not a baby. They're only at that stage of development to say those kind of things and think those kind of things.
That's right.
And then lie to Amy.
Right.
When she heard the I maybe this isn't a very good thing, by the way, guys, but I did video it. And, you know, sometimes I like to rehear what people say. Because, you know, people are talking to me all the time.
Yes.
But Amy heard it. And what did he say? What did he say, Amy?
He said that you kind of drove him to gamble, because when he started out watching the sports, and you said that he had told you that he had already put the bet on it before you went on holiday, and then when you were so dismayed when you saw that he was going to gamble like that you went up to the bedroom, and then he tried to say, well, if you wouldn't have done that, then he wouldn't have continued to gamble. So, you know, that's what he admitted. He said, well, if you wouldn't have gone upstairs, then I wouldn't have done it. But, like, since you had gone upstairs to get away from it, from the watching all those sports, and the one that he had put the bet on that he denied.
It's not that they never understood. It's not even the sports. It's that they broke their promise, or they didn't even try. And the fact that this beautiful evening is then turned into hours of watching television and gambling, which, just for a change, when we're in this beautiful place after we'd just been through hell and back, that happens. And yeah, do you know, I've even thought about it, just, you know, in case this person watches this video. I thought, oh my God, am I really needy? But I actually know it's because I couldn't trust him.
That's right.
And I've been saying it for weeks, but they didn't listen and they didn't hear me.
Given so much, the narcissist seems happy, but you notice one day you're a little depleted, you open up the refrigerator door, and half of you is gone. There's just a half a watermelon with these seeds exposed. And you're going, wow, how come there's only half of me, but there's still a whole of my partner? Something's not right here. So you start to get a little worried. You start to want to talk to the narcissist, sit him down and say, hey, I'm a little thirsty. Do you mind if I have just a little bit of cup of this amazing juice that seems to be making you so happy? I'm a little exhausted. I'm a little satiated, or not satiated. I need to quench my thirst, is what I'm trying to say. And so the narcissist just kind of rolls their eyes, and you're like, oh, whatever. You know, I guess if I can just keep this person happy, I'll be happy.
Because they're too busy gambling.
That's right. They were too busy gambling.
Anyway, Amy, I want you to read one of the stories.
Yeah, so I was looking for the story. I can't find the exact one that I was reading the other night, but basically what it was, that the girl, I think she had been with this guy for 3 years.
Isn't there any way you could just read her story so that people can hear what it does?
Yeah. Let's see, I'm finding...
I mean, in life, I expect you, as an adult, we've all got addictions. I smoke, that's an addiction, so it is, right? But there's people who've got a lot more addictions, and I wonder if anybody's struggling right now with somebody close to this thing that's just, you know what it is, an addiction, and they're just not prepared to... They're in denial.
Exactly.
They're in denial. So I just wondered if anybody wanted to put messages in to us.
Yes. Let's see.
And just to let everybody know, this is Wide Awake's footage. He has some amazing colours going on. Absolutely amazing colours that go on in his footage when he's looking at the sun and so forth.
Oh, I know. It's beautiful.
Oranges and pinks and yeah.
Yes.
You found one, Amy?
I'm still looking, Karen. I'm gonna get one up.
Yeah, because we just wanted to, when people lie, so there's lying, lack of respect, and the saddest thing is that it actually is them that don't have the respect. And
that's right.
They project it all out on you, and then that's the bit where you get hurt and lost and everything, because they're only projecting it on you. And it's a bit like you walk in a room and they go, there's a purple lampshade, and you go, no, it's white, and they only ever remember it's purple.
Your voice echoes in my mind. That's
I'm
right.
going to mention this. I mean, I'm not going to mention the actual people, but this one person asked him to tidy up his flat because it's that bad. It is that bad. On top of the other things, because this person doesn't just have one addiction. And what they wanted them to do was just to look at the message and think, I'm helping you, please just wake up and realise that if the council come round with the state of it, they might not see it the way that you see it, and just sort it out, because you might get thrown out. And
that's right.
All you could ever remember it was that person was trying to make sure that he lost his flat, but still speak to her, hi there, all sweet, but behind always angry with her, and she did this and she did that. So I can only imagine that's going on for me right now.
Yes.
I'm just the same fodder as everyone else now, but then go, hiya.
Oh, I know. Well,
and then talk to that person, but never, but when they're not there, talk about them all the time. In those words, when they do it. But anyway, you found one now, Amy?
Yes.
Go on, Amy.
Okay. So this one, the lady says, my partner gambled away 3,000 pounds of our money, and she tells this story. He says, I need to tell you something. He texted me. My heart dropped. In my experience, those 6 words never lead to anything good. As it turns out, my intuition was correct. And when I saw my boyfriend later that day, I knew from his red eyes and pale complexion that he was about to tell me something I wasn't going to want to hear. All as thoughts of cheating swirled around my head, he blurted out, I am addicted to gambling. I can't stop. Then he broke down. I was shocked and confused. I knew he gambled every now and then, or so I thought, but so do most men who follow sport. I had assumed from the gambling adverts that pop up throughout the ad breaks of football matches. He explained through his sobs that he had spent a lot of money gambling in recent weeks and felt as though he physically couldn't stop himself. He said every time he lost a bet, he gambled more in the hopes that he would win back what he had lost. I was distraught. I had noticed some outgoings from our joint bank account to betting sites, but had naively assumed it was a few small bets here and there. When I later looked down the account property, I realized he had spent over £500 in just a couple of weeks. He had gambled away our shared money we needed to pay the bills. He told me he was sorry and that he understood if I wanted to leave. I was upset and sad that he hadn't come to me sooner before things had gotten so out of hand. But I also felt extremely guilty that I hadn't noticed something was off. I decided to stay and support him. I encouraged him to close his betting accounts and keep himself busy, which he did. It was only months later that I realized his problem went deeper. He had been moving money from my personal bank account to his own. Our financial arrangement was that all money was shared and belonged to both of us, regardless of whose account it was in. I was furious to realize that the amount he had gambled was far greater than I had previously thought. I began to research gambling addictions in young men, and the statistics were overwhelming. As an NHS study published at the end of the last year shows that half of all UK adults now gamble, with 29% of men aged between 25 and 34 reporting that they participated in online gambling. Alarmingly, men aged 16 to 24 were the age group most likely to be classed as problem gamblers, with an addiction rate of 1.9% compared to 0.4% for the rest of the population. And she goes on to talk about the statistics of all of the gambling, and then she said,
can I just say something, Amy? Just changing the subject I'm going to put it back because I want to just say, and it's something completely different, and I didn't mean to see it because we're looking at Wide Awake's work. We've got to go up a bit. And then I've got to go up a little bit. I've got to find it.
Oh,
right.
Okay.
What it is, as he's panning round the camera, where the sun is, what we look at is that the waves are rippling and the sun is glistening, but they're not glistens. They're little electric arkings happening on the water. And because his footage just shows that you can see them jumping around. Do you remember when you look at them, it just looks like ripples of glistening water, and it's all...
Ice it in the garage in a cooler with some ice. And you're like, I'm going to keep this on ice for a while. I'm going to see what happens. I'm a little worried and unsettled about what's going on. A little bit more coffee. So the narcissist gets home from work the next day and beelines it, like they always do, right to the kitchen. There goes the juicer. That really loud, obnoxious juicer they flip on immediately, and you're like, wow, okay. You hear this, come bring the cooler in, come on in, bring the cooler. And you're like, can you give it a rest for like a day? It seems to be this is all that you are concerned about, is the fruit that I give you. And it's going really fast. I'm getting tired. I don't feel a lot coming back from you. No, bring the cooler. Bring the cooler. So you bring the cooler. The narcissist starts shaving off the fruit, the meat, into the juicer. And they're just drinking it down, and you're going, You ask the narcissist, can you just give a little bit of yourself? I'm really thirsty. You get another eye roll. And then it happens. You see yourself dwindling day after day. But you notice by the machine there's a jar full of seeds, watermelon seeds, and you're like, what's going on with these seeds? Why are they saving seeds? And so you're just depleted. You're down to nothing. And then it happens. You see the last of the red meat of the fruit go into the juicer, and you're kind of panicking because it seems this person has predicated the whole relationship, hinging the whole relationship on this fruit. And you're exhausted. And the narcissist drinks down the rest of your juice, and then looks at you and says, where's the rest? Where's the rest of it? You mean you don't have any more? Can you do anything right? Oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm trapped with someone like you. What am I gonna do? Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's a fight. That's a fight, right? So you go to bed, you both go to bed angry, you have a dream. You have a dream of the narcissist with this jar, throwing these seeds out. And these seeds represent all of your secrets, all of your
voice echoes in my mind.
moments, all of your essentials to bond, all of your little secrets, family secrets, what makes you tick, what you confided in the narcissist with. Stuff that you hold close to your heart. And you wake up and you're like, I heard you on the phone the other day. What was that about? You weren't saying nice things about me and I'm trying really hard here. Don't worry about it, she says. He says. They say. Don't worry about it. They're doing this behind your back. You're being warned that there is a smear campaign going on, and they're throwing your seeds that you exposed, everything that you exposed to the narcissist, they're checking out and throwing them into soil. And then you constantly hear them on the phone that you have dead soil, that you don't produce fruit, and you're exhausted. You haven't gotten 1 ounce from the narcissist, yet they are so judgmental that you're not producing fruit. And then you hear that machine come on. You're like, what's this? Oh, cool, they're gonna get into the juicer. Finally, my ship has come in. I knew they had potential. I knew they had potential. But you notice they're putting your rind in the juicer to get as much fuel as they can, and they just start bad-mouthing you. You can do no right. They're dropping nuclear bombs on you that you're not doing good, that I'm trying and he's not. I don't know what else to do. The smear campaign is huge. And they're putting the rind, trying to get as much fuel. All that's left is this pulp from the rind. That is all that's left of you guys after a discard. And what they're gonna do typically is use you as leverage against the new fruit. They're gonna say, look what this person's about. And they're gonna show pictures of pulp, everything that you gave. And they're gonna use all of your secrets, everything that you confided, all of your fears. They're throwing out the car window like it means nothing. And they're using the information on you to destroy you because you trusted them. That's how you bond.
So it says, each time he relapses, he's devastated. He tells me he understands if I want to leave. At times I have threatened to end things between us. I do understand that in addiction is a mental health problem, and that when someone is struggling with their mental health, they need support, which my boyfriend has found in an online gambling support community. I count myself as one of the lucky ones. Not all gamblers are ready or willing to get help. This professional warns that if your partner is a compulsive gambler, make no mistake, they will lie to you until they are ready to seek the specialist therapy they need to resolve this specific type of mental illness. After a relapse, my boyfriend usually falls into a dark depression and struggles significantly with his mental health. Overall, he's gambled away over 3,000 pounds of our money. For every pound he has lost, a small part of the trust we shared has gone for good.
Wow.
If my boyfriend has not had access to betting apps on his smartphone, it's my belief he wouldn't have become addicted in the first place. He told me he'd never go into a betting shop, but gambling on his phone became a hobby. It was fun and easy for him. Beginning with sports betting, it quickly moved to playing on gambling casino apps, and the addiction overtook him from there.
Didn't sound like he won very much then.
Right. And then she says, after his first relapse, my boyfriend chose to contact a gambling support community, which helped him to close all his betting accounts and ban himself for life by self-identifying as a gambling addict. He believes that this support system was crucial to his recovery and says that without it, he doesn't know where he would be. He also opted to give me access to his bank account so I could monitor what he was spending and where. This has given us both peace of mind and made it possible for us to move forward. Years after his first relapse, we are still in debt due to his addiction, and he needs ongoing support. Gambling nearly destroyed his life and our relationship, but for now, we are getting through it. Many have not had the same experience. For those out there who are struggling with a similar situation, this expert says that the most important person to protect is yourself. You have to take control of the finances and be on alert. You should also consider this bitter pill. With the best will in the world, it might not be possible for you to save the person you love. And basically just goes on to say that a person that would be involved with the gambler would need organizations that supports the family and friends of gamblers, just like.
Well, I remember telling them that I needed to go to counselling to learn to cope with them, and all they did was get angry with me.
Exactly. That's right.
Mind you, I think they got angry with me all the time, which is why I got upset and got angry with them. Because I couldn't handle it, because I'm quite happy-go-lucky, and I didn't put my life on them like they put their life on me, because the only thing that was important was the gambling.
That's right.
And then there's those electrical arcs that I was talking about. There they are. Look, they're over the water. We've got back to that bit again. These are electrical arcs. But anyway, yeah, and the lying. So trust, and she didn't trust him the same, and the lying.
That's right.
Well, I suppose if you're in denial, it is going to put you on different paths, isn't it?
Yes, and at least this person did admit it, and he did go for help. But even at that, he continues to relapse, and so it's quite the journey. And she says that a lot of couples are not that lucky, and it doesn't work out at all.
For me, what it is there's now a list of excuses put in front to the reason why we've broken up, but there isn't. This is why we've broken up.
Right. That's right.
I am a bit older than this person. So there was mention about, I want children and that. I mean, to stick on top of everything else. So they've betrayed you, lied to you, probably a narcissist as well, because he's done everything like it and had every opportunity to actually talk to me or message me. He's had every opportunity to put down some kind of feelings, and he's not done it at all. And all he's done is thrown me all over Facebook, which is what narcissists do, and so forth. So that's why we're making this video, because it seriously affects people's life, gambling. It affects the person who's doing it, and it affects the person who isn't. But I suppose if that means that you're on different paths, that's because the one gambling's in denial and has a problem.
That's right.
But what they like to do, back to the narcissist side, is that they always like to project it out and make you the problem. It's all your fault. You caused it. How many times do we read that what it is, do you know something, Amy? Just 1 second.
Okay.
So all this footage is Wide Awake's footage. Amazing colours. I love the colours. This is through an infrared light and refraction videos about. But so Amy, we've just had that story where she's about trust, and I don't know if we talked a bit more. We've had a little bit of a break, and but trust. I just find it really sad when, through a narcissist's point of view, it's just so sad.
Oh, it is. I know.
Problems inside themselves that they're not sorting out.
Yes.
They've got now loads of
That's
addictions, and they lie to the world about everything. But they did it to me. They did it to me.
That's right.
After they were all over my channel.
Oh, I know.
And I never channel on top of them either. Like they put the gambling on top. And now it's because we're on different parts. But anyway, we were just making this video just to show what it's like when people have destructive addictions. And then one leads on to the other, doesn't it, Amy? Gone to quite a few channels and looked things up. Amy's even read stuff to me.
Might they have experienced? Not every narcissist and not every alcoholic or addict has experienced trauma, but a large percentage have. So that's the first place to look if you're trying to figure this type of person out. Next thing you have to look for is the enablers. There are two different types to look for. The first one is the one who focuses on building up the narcissist's ego and keeping it afloat. This might be you without even realizing it. This is the person who actively lifts the narcissist up and gives them supply. This person will help the narcissist to minimize all signs of addiction and hide them if necessary, and will also help the narcissist to feel superior to other people, including themselves in some cases. Then there's someone who's maybe unknowingly encouraging the narcissist to remain addicted to whatever it is they're addicted to. This person could be the drug dealer, they could be a friend who does it with them, be an addict and remain an addict. They need both of those enablers in place. One other important note about this, and that is that sometimes the two types of enablers can appear in one person. So it could just be the primary narcissistic supply that's acting as both types of enabler. So the next thing you need to understand about narcissist and addiction is that a narcissist must first admit they are an addict in order to get any kind of thing done with recovery. That's step one in almost every recovery plan there is. And you and I both know that's also step one in the recovery from a narcissist, to acknowledge that you have a problem that you're dealing with a narcissist. But we know that narcissists don't like to admit there's anything wrong with them. So it's often very difficult to even get them to try to do a rehab program or try to quit drinking or drugging or gambling or whatever they're doing. If you end up confronting the narcissist, usually you end up with narcissistic rage and narcissistic injury. And they say you exaggerate. They might even call you crazy and say you're just doing this for attention and stuff like this, because again, they can't admit there's a problem. This leads me to the cycle of when we're upset in some way. The narcissist will become angry and take out their frustration on you, their supply. If you don't jump to encourage them or whatever they need you to do, they assume that you're not providing the right kind of supply for them. So they jump to the addiction. They retreat, they run away from you and get involved with the addiction. Their particular drug of choice sort of makes their fantasy seem more real. It kind of reinforces their own lies to themselves, makes them feel like they're better than other people sometimes, and kind of makes their unreasonable thoughts seem reasonable. But then what happens is the enablers back away from the narcissist during this time. So the narcissist feels threatened that somebody's going to leave them, and guess what? The cycle repeats itself again. So it's like an additionally convoluted cycle of abuse and addiction.
They say the same things.
That's right.
And what did it is the end result?
They tell you that you just have to get away from them because
they're not honest with
very
themselves.
toxic.
And all you're going to do is get caught up in a
right.
game that they're playing, and they're now playing with you. But they're going to do it, and they sometimes, or half the time, come back because you think that they think that you're important. All they want to do is another couple of rounds of the same thing you went through before. Unless they're really honest with themselves. They wake up and they realize they're not in denial, and stop being a twat to yourself.
Right. That's right. And I just think it's really them to change and get out of it.
You can say we're not on the same paths, but one's very destructive, and I didn't want to go down the destructive path, especially as you're lying to yourself.
That's right.
There's just so many things in there. I just don't know how anybody can think that means we're on different paths, because you're lying to yourself. That's why.
That's right.
You know, I've actually done some
And,
things that I've in this time, you know, like it's made me very angry, slapped him a few times, but when he's calling you a cunt and stuff, you know, so there's a list of things. It means we shouldn't be together, but I cannot take lying.
Oh, me neither.
I've turned myself over. I know who I am. It happened a long time ago. And it was quite painful because this video of me went, and I got back to being a child. Like, I think I got back to about the age of 2.5. I actually was trying to move these milk bottles, and I was just being this little 2-year-old, and all I remember hearing is, don't pick them up, you'll drop them. You'll drop them. Don't pick them up, you'll drop them. You're going to drop them. She's going to drop them. Oh, look, she dropped them.
Oh.
Not surprising, is it really? I was going to drop them. Like, I'm walking with her. Oh my God, I dropped them. You know, like one of my earliest memories, this memory I can get to, and it's actually, that's what I remember being told. People just do not know what the hell they're saying. And you know, we have all these hangouts with Claudio and stuff like that. You have to know what you're saying. Even like David, Jimmy here, all about etymology, and Josh and all these people. You have to know what you're saying, because if you don't, you're never telling the truth in the first place that way. Everything you do has a reaction and a consequence. So when you do something, there'll be an outcome. If you did it this way, there'll be that kind of outcome. You do it that way, there'll be another kind of outcome. But the adult has to be prepared and awake enough to realise all this. And if they don't, they're just lying all the time. How? Oh, hang on, Amy. We've got to change videos. So yeah, I think that when you're going to lie to yourself all the time, you have one opinion or 20,000 opinions. It doesn't really matter. But awake people know the difference, and when you're an empath, can't take it, can't take all that kind of stuff, because I've worked out who I am, and I'm an empath, so I feel that other person's feelings, so I know they're lying.
Right.
They're doing it to my face, they're doing it to me or around me, but those are things that happen when people aren't very aware.
That's right.
Amy, we've said quite a lot, really. We're just hoping that people realise that narcissism, gambling and addictions, they all go together. That these people lie, right. They're going to throw you out, they're just lie. The lies is the bit that,
Yeah, yes, I cannot take
and then they make more excuses and more excuses, and then they stick children in there, and it's just like, wow. When really, they're not being honest, they're in denial about their own life and who and what they are.
Exactly. And I had a man do that to me and use a final excuse. It was because he wanted children. I don't know anything that's going on in his life now, but I highly doubt that he has children.
It's one of the lowest things you can do, isn't it? Especially when you don't really mean it and your whole life isn't set up. Like, if he was ready for the go.
It's only been 2 days of abuse. Well, it's only been 3. All that abuse that I went through, make it dinner, whatever. And the person thinks, do you know, I put my boundaries up, treated in a certain way, so the barriers come up and they say, look, I don't like the way you're treating me, stop doing it. And then the narcissist will turn around and go, I'm so sorry. They'll play the victim. I'm so sorry. Here, let me buy you some flowers. Let me take you on holiday. Let me buy you lunch. Let me make you dinner, whatever. And the person thinks, do you know, I put my boundaries up, and that person responded and they were very nice to me. So all that abuse that I went through has been worth it, because now they're going to turn around. You see the likeness of the chase and losses. And eventually what happens when the things settle back down again, the narcissist gets comfortable and then starts the abuse cycle again. The person thinks, well, you know, it's only been 1 day of abuse. Well, it's only been 2 days of abuse. Well, it's only been 3 days of abuse. And then the cycle continues until eventually they get fed up again and they say, stop abusing me. And then the narcissist turns around and goes, oh, I'm so sorry, let me buy you lunch, dinner, holidays, whatever. And then the person thinks, all I need to do is push hard enough and I'm going to get this beautiful relationship. But what happens eventually is the narcissist will keep the cycle going until a person's spirit breaks. And that's what you've got to watch out for. When you get into a habit pattern of thinking and hoping that you can break free by just pushing hard enough, you're no different to a gambler chasing the losses of the horse. In gambling, if you don't know what you're doing, there's only one winner, and it won't be you.
Then that you think, oh, actually, he's ready to have children when you're doing all these addictive things, and really it's about that, and then you stick that on top. Pretty fucking dirty. I'm sorry. Oh, I swore. Pretty dirty.
It is, and even this guy's best friend said that was ridiculous. That he said,
any excuse they can find.
Any excuse. When I told a lady friend that was quite a bit older than me, like, you know, kind of like old enough to be my mom, so I feel she had some wisdom, told her what the guy said about wanting children, she laughed so hard. She just said, Amy, that's the silliest excuse I've ever heard in my whole life. I mean, she caught it for
But
what
it's not
it
nice
was.
when they say it to you, is it? On top of the rest of the things that they're lying about. But Amy, we've got to finish in a moment.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, you know, if we go Claudio's way, he says, always release in love. Have love, 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 love. Sometimes it's a little bit hard to always not sound... Well, I do actually love this person, but I can't do it their way anymore. And that's why it ended weeks ago. But I do love them.
That's right.
I can't go near them because they're not going to change and they're going to lie.
Right.
And they even lied to you today, didn't they?
That's right.
Blaming me! Blaming me!
I know.
He blamed me! He blames me to you! When actually it's quite simple. Get some help for the gambling. Sort your life out. Anyway,
Exactly.
much love from me. Much love to you, Amy, and to the chat room.
Love you too, Karen.
Is there anything else that you want to say, Amy, before we go?
I just want to emphasize that we can grow from the pain that they put us through. That we can take the love that we have for them and give
You've
it out
proved it,
to
Amy,
other
because
people.
guess what? Amy is a beautiful person, and he didn't destroy that in
thank
you,
you.
Amy. You're beautiful. She's lovely.
Oh,
Lovely
thank
persons,
you.
Amy. So there is hope, isn't there?
Lovely. It is. There's hope, and just learn to love yourself again, and take care of you.
Yeah, because that's what
And,
happens. Because you spent months thinking of this other person the whole time, you didn't think of yourself. And do you know
That's
what?
right.
Right now, I feel utter relief that I do not have to worry about them anymore.
Yes, that's wonderful.
That
And
bit
it's
is
only gonna get
absolutely
better.
wonderful. I'm not going to be sworn at. No more gambling. Oh my God, I'm so happy. But I did love
Oh,
them. And I know that sounds
yes.
really strange on top of everything because it's my personal life here. But yeah, what a bloody mess that wasn't mine. Another man with issues and problems coming towards me. I don't want it anymore. Stay away from me.
Yes.
If you've got problems
Right.
like that, I'm not interested. I want someone who wants to
That's
be with
right.
me and loves me and doesn't make every excuse under the sun for it. Thank you, Amy.
Absolutely. That's right, Karen.
Much love, Amy.
He's coming.
He's
Much
coming.
love
Come
to you
on.
too,
Come
Karen.
on.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, breathe in.
Aw,
Deep breaths. Lots of love.
yes, lots of love.